And welcome everyone to Coaster Queens. I am Johnny Cannonate, but please call me Johnny.
And I'm Mr. or Michael.
We have a
And I'm
special
Ryan. I'll
guest.
just go with
No,
that.
God damn it, Ryan. We have a special guest today. Who are you?
Ryan. That's all.
State your claim.
One name.
One name. One man. One park.
Okay, that's viral already.
Yeah, whatever.
One man,
Jesus
one park.
Christ. Oh.
Yes, everybody knows Ryan. No other screen name or any other intro required. Just Ryan. Ryan's
If
here.
you were ever to be in a movie, your credit would simply be Ryan.
Well, so it's been CTRSind for so long, but nobody knows how to say it or pronounce it, and so like the thing when I used to make custom scenery for Roller Coaster Tycoon 3, and
Yeah.
I would like go to like search for my own scenery out there on the various websites, like my username was always wrong. And even though Ryan's like not even spelt correctly, at least people get it right.
Is your name Rain?
Yeah, Rihan.
Rihan?
I get called Rihanna all the time, which
Yes,
is kind
girl.
of like she's 20 days younger than me, so it's also interesting.
Well, you're practically twins then.
Yeah, we're basically twins. She was born the 23rd, I was born the 3rd.
Girl.
There you go. That's what's
So
up.
today we are in Zoo. Ooh. Zoo. Which
So it
is a
makes me-
love child.
This always makes me think of. Did you guys ever play Putt Putt? Like those old school video games.
No.
No, I have no clue what you're talking about.
Oh my gosh, they were my little sheltered childhood. I was not allowed to play mainstream games, so we played these little point and click adventure games.
Oh,
And there's a song. Look up Putt Putt Goes to the Zoo theme song, and then it'll be stuck in your head too. You're welcome.
Putt putt.
I'll pass.
Not today, child. So we're in Zoo, which is a love child between Lone Wolf. I want to say Lone Ranger, but I knew that was not right. Lone Wolf and Ryan.
Or CTRSind.
Ryan. Which is, this is the beautiful entrance. Let's just take a look around. Look at this color.
Yeah, that was definitely the theme for the entrance. The entrance buildings, actually those two that you see right there, were built before we had a concept. I was like, I want, like Discovery Island from Animal Kingdom, or what are they calling it now? I forget. But like with the color turned up to 11. Like, it wasn't something like I get a lot flack for playing with color, but I was never really as adventurous as I was when I built these ticket counters.
Yes, saturation is not a word in your vocabulary.
No, yeah. Usually I will spend 20 minutes, dithering between a shade of clay and a shade of brick. Like, but in this case, it was, just like, what's the most outrageous color combination, and then do it.
But it just creates such a visually striking palette, though.
Yeah, you've always been good with color. I'm like, I don't know. Your command of color is always good. I'm like, man, he knows what he's doing. Like, this always looks good. Like, vibrant, life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I wanted, I think that with pushing the color, you made something kind of ambiguous as far as, like, a time or a location or a theme. And I think that leaning on the color itself as the theme makes it kind of that ambiguity come through.
These light posts remind me of flamingos.
Okay, I get that.
Yeah.
There's like 3 different types or 3 different color schemes for
Yeah,
the
there's
same
green,
light post.
blue, and purple. Oh, and they're all different styles. Oh, nice.
Yeah, the variety, of course, is the spice of life. So we were just going
Correct.
there with never use the same bench, never use the same fence, never use the same light post. So yeah.
Need a park map? Oh, that's fun. They're luggage pieces.
Yeah,
Oh.
that was really late edition, but I was like, I just wanted maps, the books worked out as far as just approximating.
Mm-hmm. Now we're in the park, and we have swings. Does the swings have a name?
They do. I don't know it off the top of my head. Something about rope, vine, swing, something.
Ugh, vine swing.
Vine swing, there it is.
beautiful. Oh, hold on, there we go.
Yeah, so like pushing into the park, the saturation definitely goes down because I wanted to like ground everything a little bit more. So this, even though it's supposed to be, you know, like a pan-cultural theme, which was really the design. I wanted the theme to kind of like make a comment on something. This park has an ethos. It definitely has a mission, and part of that is, you know, reflected in the theme and the colors and the layout, and everything's informed by that.
These curves.
I think this is
because I'm getting a few different cultures here, which is kind of the point.
Yeah, so the entrance plaza is supposed to be if going back to the mythos of Zoo is that, you know, it's you know, drawing the connections between humanity and the planet that we live on, and the people and animals and vegetation that we share that planet with. So it's basically it's a one planet story. Right. So this first area it's never explicitly laid out, but this is the human area of the park. So everything here from, you know, the mud roofs, that's you know, a nod to you know, mud huts, you know, the rise of humanity as a you know, as an elevated beast on the planet. And then, you know, you go into the thatch, you go into, you know, and nothing is, you know, modern materials. Everything is old
Stuff
world,
people
you know,
have
like,
gathered from the earth. Yeah.
I love that.
like,
And the
you
fact
know,
that you have it
rise
all,
from Africa.
that you have it like all super like thought out. You have like a story, which I guess it helps you form a project and actually stick with it because you have something to go off of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because anytime we were, you know, confused or you know, stuck on something, we would just go, you know, we'll go back to the ethos. What is, you know, what would this? It was basically taking, you know, the Busch Gardens SeaWorld ethos and then like pushing it to the nth degree. Like, not only is this, you know, conservation, caring about the world, it's also, you know, caring about humanity too, caring about, you know, this shared planet. You know, we are the only life that we know of, and that's precious, essentially.
I'm gonna cry.
Like so thought out and just like, this isn't just a park. It's a story.
This is real life. This isn't Planet Coaster.
I mean, yes, so that is a very sweet, like, epitome, but it was also cheeky too, because we knew that if we relied on that, as far as the competition is concerned, then we had an identity, which would make us memorable in voting, and then we wouldn't have to rely so heavily on big flashy attractions because that really didn't match the ethos of the park. We wouldn't have to worry about, you know, like, characters free roaming, and we wouldn't have to worry about, you know, like, so it really, like, having that kind of background for the park gave us the ability to you know, build a story, and that would be 90% of the park rather than, you know, actually concrete things in the ground. And anybody who knows how we came out of that competition would know that we had very few concrete things in the ground.
And by the way, this park started out as a competition-based project.
Yeah, so it was the first summer showdown in Planet Coaster. What is it, 3 years ago, 4 years ago? 3 years ago?
3?
I think we're coming up on the third year.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the game's not even 4 years old yet. Because I remember I was in the same exact competition. I lasted like one challenge, then I was like, I can't do it.
Oh, so here you're coming up on the Kente Theater, another part of that ethos, and going with, you know, well, one, Lon and I, we really respect and admire Busch Gardens' approach to design, and we think that they're doing it probably better than anybody, or have done it probably better than anybody else in the industry. So it's something that we're always being influenced by, and we knew we could tackle it as far as, you know, a theme and a design style.
Because most of the time, Busch Gardens isn't overly complicated or...
Yeah, and especially if you look at Busch Gardens' history, they've you know, they've kind of relied on, you know, natural surroundings and storytelling through other mediums than rides and roller coasters.
Which really separates them between their competition, like Cedar Fair or Six Flags, for that matter.
And that's what we were looking for is
Right.
to separate us.
Because I feel like in most of these types of games, your immediate want is to make something, or for lack of a better term, like a noob. Their immediate desire would be to create something thrilling, like a Six Flags park with these massive coasters. But as you said, that wasn't your focus in here, and it really came through of what you're trying to say.
I mean, I'll speak for him a little bit, but I think that both of us kind of dreaded the challenges that forced us to do this attraction with this many loops and such and such and such. Like that was not, we didn't feel like we were going to shine in those those challenges, whereas we thought, we're really going to knock it out of the park with the things that we build between challenges. Theaters being a big part of that, and it was another like kind of cheaty way of taking up and using a whole lot of space for something very impactful that nobody else was doing.
That's essentially a rabbit hole.
Yeah, that is essentially a giant rabbit hole, and is infinitely repeatable. We have 2 large theaters in the park that take up massive amounts of space that otherwise we would have to fill with something. And it matches the theme, the story, the scale of the park, and the ethos.
Yeah, I think the theaters that you have, they fit really well. They don't feel like plopped, like, oh, we want to fill the space. It's more like they feel organic to the space that they're in, which is great.
Yeah, and I'd sent Johnny a picture of this theater before it was actually built. What I had done is I had lifted the Globe Theater out of my Busch Gardens file and dropped it on this spot and built this theater kind of around it. So if you're talking about scale specifically, this theater matches the like size, scale, and layout essentially of the Globe Theater at Busch Gardens in Williamsburg.
Which is funny because when I was exploring your Williamsburg recreation, I would have had no idea that the scale of your Globe Theater is about the same size as what you made here.
Yeah.
It's all about perspective and what you have around it.
Yeah, I mean, this is, a little more of an isolated structure. You enter it from a much higher elevation than you do the Globe. So it just kind of like disguises that. We wanted it to feel like, this is, the nod to Africa. This is, another nod to Timbuktu at Busch Gardens, Tampa. And it just kind of, we wanted it to kind of cap out, this is your entrance area in a Busch type theme park. You need your massive, largest theater there. Your Broadway style theater.
Yeah, and you almost get a forced perspective look because in reality, that's what? 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 12 tiles high.
I mean, if you go around to the backstage area of it, where it's its tallest, it's like 6 4-meter walls high, or something like that.
So it's just a matter of elevation. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I'm teetering on the edge here of my favorite area. I'm edging. So
careful.
I know. I need to
Things
go.
to say in a menage a trois on YouTube.
Ooh, girl. So we have. Does this area have a name? I don't.
Bayou. So yeah, we wanted to name the different areas of the park that weren't, the human themed area, or humanity themed area. We wanted to name them after biomes instead of like
Cheeky
actual
names.
Locations, because that would give us a little more flexibility in the types of things that we included. Even though like this is bayou and there are bayous everywhere, there are bayous in Texas as well as Louisiana. It kind of gave us that kind of flexibility to say, this is just your typical bayou, your archetypal bayou.
Pronounce that for me.
Parlingua.
Parlingua.
Yeah, it's like 3 syllables. Each syllable is 3 letters.
All right, so you know what? Since you do cues so beautifully, I'm actually going to take the time to go in them. If I can navigate, Jesus.
Yeah, it's a tight space.
That's what he said.
Okay, just
Okay, I'm line skipping.
Okay, you're jumping. You're line jumping. Hello.
This is one of my favorite
yeah.
stations, I think, in this project, is this station. Like, the theme is so apparent and so well done, and it doesn't feel forced, like a lot of theme parks where you're like, ooh, I can tell you're trying to get this theme and you really made it apparent, but it doesn't feel organic, where this actually feels like an old building that they turned into a coaster station instead of the other way around.
Wow.
Something existing.
Yeah, I'm glad it's your favorite. It's my least. So, and there's the little car front. I just wanted something that felt like abandoned and something that's just smacked you in the face with Southern. So I think that the overgrown garden, like harking back to a more so you just fell right through. Harking back to like a more pristine time, but it's definitely something that's lost. The house being absolute shell, like there's no nothing inside of it, no windows, no walls, no interior, and just like this is where you find probably the scariest of the beasts that are in the park.
Termites,
as far as story goes. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, Millennium Flyers too. We're not gonna ride it because that would take too much time, but I would love to. But yeah, you managed to create such a simple shell, yet it doesn't look unfinished.
I knew. I was like, well, so another one of our policies, I guess, one of our requirements while we were building that we set on ourselves was, if it's going to be an open space, it's going to be a finished space. Right. If it's going to be a closed space, then we don't care.
Right.
Well, it's like we've talked about kind of in I think both of our projects that in Planet Coaster, simple is hard to make look finished. Oftentimes, if you do something simple, it just looks not done, which is you accomplish that with it being simple, but still feeling complete, which is kind of hard.
And I fight the urge too. Like, I mean, that station does not feel finished to me. And I go back and I look at it. There's like things that I want to do. I want to put, a covered area over the section in the garden. I want to cover the bottom of the plantation house up, but also like there are more unfinished things in this park that I got to do first. So it's kind of, I can let something slide because I've got bigger projects going on.
Welcome to my world.
So this is one of my favorite areas. We had originally didn't have any plans for any other flat rides other than the swinging ship to go in this area. But I felt like I was kind of cheating everybody by not having a carousel. So I wanted to build a grand carousel, which at the time of building, we didn't have a grand carousel. So I had, a fake carousel sitting in the middle of it. And then when the rides pack released, I had to go back in and I tore up the entire center of this park and rebuild it.
At least you did. I just snuck mine into a small building.
I wished I could have gotten away with just, plopping the carousel down and it being done, because that was a lot of work, and, the path work, and this game is not the most forgiving.
No, it's like once you get something really good, it's like you get it to do what you want, and then you're like, I can't touch it now because it's going to just be so messed up, and I'll never get it to do that again. Mess with it.
And Michael, remember when you asked me if my steamboat would have a restaurant?
Yes.
Let's just pretend this is in my park. How about that? Because it's gorgeous.
Control C, Control V.
Yes.
Yes. Raquel's.
Yeah, so I wanted something. I mean, you can't talk about Bayou without talking about cuisine.
Right.
So, for the longest time, the Bayou wasn't going to have, this French Square area. It was just going to be platforms over water. And I was like, how am I going to sneak in a restaurant into, a bayou, out in nothing but woods and water? And I didn't want like some shanty falling apart crab shack. So I thought, hey, abandoned, dried or, like grounded steamboat sternwheeler would make, the perfect fine French cuisine restaurant. So Rachel is my best friend's name. So it was just something that I knew
homage to Rachel.
An homage. So it was
Snaps
something I knew
Rachel.
I could get in there.
And I love the font. Like, those letters are amazing. Those are not theme makers. Those are
No, that's all art shapes. I found it's not even a font, so I had to invent most of those letters. I found I was looking for marquee signs or marquee letters, and I found a font. It was just literally the letters B, letter A, letter R. So I had the R and the A there, and I had to invent everything else based off of that R and A, which I think came out well, and not a lot of people realize that it's all individial pieces.
Yeah, because looking at it, people might automatically assume it's like Theme Maker or something that you got from the workshop.
Yeah, very few things in this park are theme makers. Right. More and more every day, but.
Well, like I noticed, like on the backstage doors, you have the little staff only things, but that's just a nice realistic touch.
And that's kind of the things that I'm looking for when I'm on theme makers. I'm not looking for big items. I'm just looking for. I mean, honestly, I don't think the big items are there quite yet. Mm-hmm. But signs, merchandise items, drink bottles, the little tiny finishing touches stuff. I eat that stuff up.
Yeah, the little pieces that you can't make stuff out of Planco pieces with.
So you're right here at the train station, which is the one at the back of the park. There's two, one at the back of the park and one at the front of the park. Train station. Trains! It's okay. So many people will recognize this. It's the original train station for Frontierland at Disneyland. Kind of zhuzhed a little bit, I tried to make it a little more French with, the French pink and French pink and French blue and French green.
French horn. Just
kind of like, warm it up, make it more fitting to the area.
But if I recall correctly, you're not in love with this station.
I would prefer it to be somewhere else. I'd prefer it to be 100 other things, but it tells the story, and I can't be too mad at that.
No.
That's one of the things sometimes you have to know when to stop and just, good enough. This is good. We got to move on. Otherwise. Yeah.
And so a big help in that was the fact that we were, running in a competition. So we were giving ourselves deadlines, that I can't go any further than this.
Yeah, which that does help. That's one thing, I do like competitions because they really set the tone. They restrain you in a way that can make sure you don't go too crazy. But then at the same time, I'm kind of but I want my creativity to be able to go wild.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, I had to go to my favorite area. These paths.
Yeah, so this is the Bayou part. So this is what the entire themed area was going to be like originally. Just overgrown, dead, kind of eerie, spooky, romantic. We wanted fairy lights strung across the pathing throughout, which is something we haven't gotten to, but I might do at some point. And just sell the bayou. There's actually two levels of water here. So the level on the left side of the pathway is much higher than the right.
Oh, yes, it is.
So there's a berm that runs directly underneath the pathing the catwalk that you're standing on, but you wouldn't realize that without knowing.
You're gonna get yourself stuck. Be careful. Don't jump. Don't jump.
Yeah. It's not worth it.
There is some germs up in that water now. Oh,
no! Okay. You're gone. You're gone.
Oh, narrowly escaped. Ebola!
Ebola.
Ebola is nothing to joke about. How dare you guys?
Whatever.
All right, so we are at the edge of another area which we will not get to in this video. So for today, thank you all for watching. Again, we are Coaster Queens. Queens by nature. Queens by night and day. I am Johnny. Thank you for watching. Y'all, whatever, you exit yourself. Bye.
Ryan out.
And this is Michael. Remember, stay classy.